Very warm good morning to everyone. On behalf of management, principal, vice principal, and HOD, I welcome you all for the AACTS ISTE sponsored 6 days induction refresher program on the title FPGA for low power IoT. At this outset, I thank AICTE ISTE for giving us opportunity to arrange this uh, uh, FTP for the faculty around the nation, and I welcome you all for this uh, event, and I welcome our guest of honor today, Dr. Shaktivel sir, and inaugural address to be given by Mr. G. Harishankar, and all the faculty members from other colleges around India to this FTP. Now I request Dr. Komala Jamestown, HOD, Professor Department of ECE, deliver the welcome address to the participants now. Over to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you. So today, we are here in online mode for the 6 days AICTE ISTE induction as well as refresher program on the title FPGA for low power IoT. So I take this opportunity first of all to thank our management, our principal sir and vice principal sir for giving us this opportunity to conduct this program today for the benefit of the various participants throughout the country. So I take this opportunity to welcome our guest for today, Dr. P. Shaktivel, Professor, Department of ECE from Anna University. He is also an Executive Council member of ISTE. So I welcome you, sir.
Yes, madam.
I also welcome sir. I also welcome our technical session handler for the first session, Mr. B. Harishankar, Senior Software Engineer, Robert Bosch, Coimbatore. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Welcome, ma'am. Thank you, and warm welcome.
Yes, thank you. I also welcome all the participants here who have been very interestingly registering for the event. So actually, I'd like to mention here that the efforts taken by our conveners, both Dr. Usha Banu, Professor of EC Department, SRM Valiamma Engineering College, and Mr. Saravana Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE of SRM Valiamma Engineering College, and the various faculty members of the department available in ECE as well as in the Department of Medical Electronics, who have put in various efforts to see that more than 425 participants have registered, and we have restricted to a little higher number than 100 due to the condition put forth by AICTE. So we are also having 3 sessions per day. So first session will start at 9:30 and it will be to 11 o'clock. Second session from 11:15 to 12:45, and the third session from 1:45 to 3:15. So we also know that recently all the classes are functioning in offline mode. So various academic institutions have informed all the faculty to come in physical mode and handle the classes. So we know your difficulties. So please adjust your classes according to our timings and see that all the sessions are able to be attended by you all, because you can also know the various titles and the events what are all planned throughout these 6 days by our coordinators. So thank you for the opportunity given to me. So once again, I welcome each and every one of you for this session, for all my faculty members and the faculty members from various states of our country. So again, I'll be meeting you on Wednesday, 8th of December for delivering a session on power is positive thinking in professional life. Thank you all. I request our conveners to continue with the proceedings of the inaugural function. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now take this opportunity to introduce our inaugural address guest of honor, Dr. P. Shaktivel. Dr. Ma'am, whether my screen is visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible.
PPT is there, ma'am?
So nothing is displayed, but your screen is visible. No display, we are able to see.
Yeah, yes. 1 minute, ma'am. I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Dr. P. Shaktivel, IST Executive Council Member, Tamil Nadu. Currently, he is working as Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, College of Engineering, Anna University. His present additional responsibility include Dean, University College of Engineering, Kanchipuram, Anna University. Sir has completed his BE in Computer Science Engineering and ME in Computer Science Engineering from Jadavpur University and PhD in VLSI Design and Testing from Faculty of Information and Communication Engineering from Anna University. He has also published more than 59 international journals and field journals to his credit. He has chaired and organized international conferences and workshops sponsored by AICTE QPIP and Cadence Workshop. He is the National Executive Member in ISTE from January 2012, and he has been in Selection Committee of National Awards for ISTE member in 2013 and 15. Currently, Sir is from 2020 to 24. He is in the Tamil Nadu Executive Council member for ISTE. On behalf of Department of ECE and SRM Valiamma Engineering, sir, I welcome you, sir, and I request you to give a few words to our participants regarding this workshop, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Very good morning. Dear Dr. P. Chidambararajan, my good friend and principal of SRM Valiamma Engineering College. Dear Dr. M. Murugan, Vice Principal, SRM Valiamma Engineering College. Dr. Komala James, Professor and Head Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, SRM Valiamma Engineering College, and convener of this AICTE, ISTE Induction and Refresher Program on FPGA for Low Power IoT. Dr. N. Usha Banu, Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering, and Mr. C. Saravana Kumar, Assistant Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering, the coordinators of this AICTE, ISTE Index and Reference Program on FPGA for Low Power IoT, faculty and staff members of SRM Valiamma Engineering College, and the participant of this reference program. Very good morning to all of you. So we are all meeting virtual mode or through online mode due to the corona pandemic. First, I would like to pray God for all your good health and well-being during this pandemic period. On this occasion, I would like to thank the management of SRM Valliyamai Engineering College and the organizer of this refresher program for inviting me as a guest of honor for the inauguration of this refresher program. My sincere and wholehearted thanks and appreciation to SRM Valliyamai Engineering College for coming forward to organize this refresher program on behalf of the Indian Society for Technical Education and All India Council for Technical Education. I also thank all the participants for registering to this refresher program and attending it. As a teacher, we all know that we are the first learner. Whatever new technologies and strategies emerges, we teachers need to learn as soon as possible. That is, we should learn first. Further, as a teacher, we have to update our knowledge regularly without giving any break. That means teachers are continuous learners. Otherwise, we will be outdated in our profession. So, in short, we teachers are not only the first learner, but also the continuous learners. So, this program is conducted in online mode or virtual mode due to the unfortunate situation created by the corona pandemic. Normally, if this kind of programs happened in a face-to-face mode or physical mode, then it would have created more impact on participants. But nothing is in our hand, and we have to ready with alternate modes like this to face unexpected situations. Normally, this kind of programs will give lot of benefits to teachers. Attending this kind of refresher programs, faculty development programs, short-term courses, workshops, tutorials, conferences, seminars, and other technical meetings. So that is attending all kinds of continuing education programs will not only update our knowledge in the subject, but also gives you lot of benefits such as networking with your fellow teachers from various institutions from various parts of the country. This kind of networking with the fellow teachers will give you benefits of making collaboration with them in our teaching as well as research activities. Nowadays, if you look at the sponsored projects, normally the funding agencies give more preference to the joint and collaborative projects. If you have good networking with fellow teachers across the country and across the world, there is a good chance of having good collaborations. So you can utilize the friendship created during this kind of continuing educational programs for your lifelong collaborative teaching and research activities. As you all know that this program is sponsored by the All India Council for Technical Education through Indian Society for Technical Education. Since you are all from the technical institutions, you are all very well know about the All India Council for Technical Education and the Indian Society for Technical Education. Since I am representing the Indian Society for Technical Education in this program, it is my pleasant duty and humble request to all of you to become the members of the Indian Society of Technical Education if you are not members of the Indian Society for Technical Education. So this program is organized by the SRM Valliyamai Engineering College. As the member of the Indian Society for Technical Education National Executive Council and member of the Board of Studies of Electronics and Communication Engineering, SRM Valliyamai Engineering College. I know very well about the SRM Valliyamai Engineering College, the management and faculty members of the SRM Valliyamai Engineering College. I am extremely happy that SRM Valliyamai Engineering College is doing wonderful service to the community in an excellent manner. My wholehearted thanks to the SRM Valliyamai Engineering College for shouldering this responsibility of conducting this program on behalf of Indian Society for Technical Education. So coming to this refresher program, as I have already mentioned earlier, the refresher programs, faculty development programs, and the short-term programs are essential for teachers in technical institutions for their career advancement and professional refinement. The quality of education can be the quality in education can be the degree of excellence in imparting and acquisition of knowledge through teaching and learning. The world is becoming more complex day after day instead of year after year, and the educational needs continue to shift from teaching and learning isolated skills that enable students to solve complex problems across many areas. On this occasion, I want to briefly mention about some aspects of teaching learning process which are more important for all the teachers. The students are expected to learn high-level skills such as how to access, evaluate, analyze, and synthesis vast quantities of information. Teachers are expected to meet the needs of all students and move them toward fulfillment of their individual potential, even as they are pressured to prepare students for maximum performance on high-stakes assessment tests that are the primary measure of student and institutional success. Digital technology can assist with these expectations and make teachers and their students more successful. This kind of refresher course orients the teachers for a technology-rich future and keeps up with the change by adopting effective strategies that infuse lessons with appropriate technologies. So many improvements and changes taken place in the teaching learning process. They are, if you look at the present day situations, the technologies have totally changed. Before March 2020, most of us do not know about the platforms such as Zoom, Google Meet, Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Teams, etc. But now we all teachers and students are well versed with all these technologies. Many instructional methods and medias are available now to handle the class. Instead of actual laboratory, there are simulated learning laboratory environments which reduce the requirement of many resources to carry out actual experiment. In earlier days, we used books and journals as the learning resources. Now we have e-journals and the e-resources are available. Earlier, teaching was teacher-centric. Now we have MOOCs, that is massive online open courses and learning models, and become a student-centric. Classroom teaching and learning become anytime, anywhere learning. Teacher dependent becomes teacher independent. That means without much assistance from teachers, students can learn. That is independent learning. Flipped classrooms comes into the existence. So the role of teachers decreases and the role of students increases day by day. In the teaching learning process, teachers' role as information provider, teacher teaches by lectures and instructional methods. It is a monologue activity. By improved lectures and demonstrations, it becomes a dialogue activity. If teacher's role as a facilitator by means of individual and group tutorial, seminars, brainstorming sessions, games, panel discussions, case studies, role play, group discussion, etc., there will be an interactive session in teaching learning process. Then teacher's role as a guide by means of assignments, laboratory, workshops, field work, simulation, project works, industrial visit, etc. There will be an action in the teaching learning process. Finally, teacher's role as a mentor by means of self-directed learning and information and communication technology based learning, there will be a reflection in the teaching learning process. So the teacher's role from information provider to mentors, the role of teachers decreasing and the role of students increasing in the teaching learning process. It becomes a teacher-centered to student-centered. I would like to mention some of the basics of teaching learning process. The old ways of teaching and learning is found to be too rigid and too outdated. But now teaching and learning process consists of 4 basic elements, namely planning, implementation, assessment, and evaluation. It is a method for monitoring and judging the overall quality of learning or teaching based on objective, data, and scientific criteria. Teaching is deliberate intervention that involves the planning and implementation of instructional activities and the experiences to meet intended learner outcomes according to a teaching plan. Learning can be defined as the relatively permanent change in an individual behavior, that is knowledge, skill, and attitude that can occur at any time or place as a result of learning. Teaching learning process is the most powerful instrument of education to bring about desired changes in the students. There are 7 principles of effective teaching learning process. They are: encourages student-faculty contact, encourages cooperation among students, encourages active learning, prompt feedback, emphasizes time on task, communicates high expectations, respects diverse talents and ways of learning. Basically, teaching is a process in curriculum. Effective teaching is one that will bring about the intended learning outcome. Teaching is an organization of meaningful learning. Teaching is creating a situation or selecting lifelike situation to enhance learning. To the traditionalist, teaching is imparting knowledge and skills required to master a subject matter. Teaching is a process of dispensing knowledge to an empty vessel, that is, mind of learner. Teaching is showing, telling, giving instruction, making someone understand in order to learn. Teacher is a person who teaches, controls learning, dispenser of knowledge, an ultimate authority, a director of learning. Teaching is based on progressive and humanist education. Teaching is perceived as stimulating, directing, guiding the learner, and evaluating the learning outcomes of teaching. Teacher's role becomes complex, but has given the learner the responsibility to learn. Teaching is a process that enables the learner to learn on his own. In teaching, teacher is the decision maker in teaching process. Planning phase includes decisions like the needs of the learner, the achievable goals and objectives to meet the needs, selection of the content to be taught, motivation to carry out the goal, strategies most fit to carry out the goals, and evaluation process to measure learning outcome. When we look at the planning, there are considerations in planning such as learner, availability of materials, time requirement of particular activity, strategy need to achieve the objective, and teacher. In the implementation phase, based on the objective, implementation means to put into action the different activities in order to achieve the objectives through the subject matter. Interaction of the teacher and learner is important in the accomplishment of the plan. Use of different teaching style and strategy are included in this phase. In the evaluation phase, a match of the objective with the learning outcomes will be made. Answer the question if the plans and implementation have been successfully achieved. A continuous process of feedback and reflection is made in these three phases of teaching. Finally, feedback is the reflection. Reflection is the process embedded in teaching where the teacher inquires into his action and provides deep and critical thinking. The teaching is goal-oriented with the change of behavior as the ultimate end. The teachers are the one who shape actively their own action. The teaching is a rational and a reflective process. The teachers by their action can influence learners to change their own thinking or desired behavior. Thus, teaching is a way of changing behavior through the intervention of the teacher. Good teaching is one that is well planned and where activities are interrelated to each other. One that provides learning experiences or situations that will ensure understanding, application, and critical thinking. Based on the theory of learning, one where the learner is simulated to think and reason. Utilize prior learning and its application to new situation, and it is governed by democratic principles. Embeds a sound evaluation process. Learning is a process of learning to teach, it is to make someone to learn. Learning is defined as a change in an individual's behavior caused by experiences of self-activity, implies that learning can only happen through the individual's activity or his own doing. Learning can be intentional or intentional. There are 10 principles of learning. They are focusing, organization, repetition, association, learner control, imitation, active participation, motivation, individual styles, and spacing. For the changing situations, teachers should adapt and carry out their works. Teaching and learning should go together. One cannot succeed without the support or success of the other. Teaching style of the teacher should go with the learner's learning styles. Learner is the center of teaching. Knowledge of the learner and his learning style should be considered. Learners become complex individuals capable of learning on their own. The impact of teaching should also increase. As a teacher, we should try to achieve these goals. In this All India Council for Technical Education, Indian Society for Technical Education Induction Refresher Program on FPGA for Low Power IoT, I hope the organizers have well planned and the sequence of sessions with enough theory and practical to get good knowledge in this area. I wish all the participants to get a great learning experience and thank the organizers for creating such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wide inaugural address for representing the teaching community. And we will follow your instructions for our teaching learning process to be complete, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again from our management. Thank you for participating this workshop, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now we request Mr. C. Saravanakumar, sir, to introduce our technical address to be given by Mr. B. Harishankar. Over to you, sir. Saravanakumar, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So I take immense pleasure to introduce our chief guest for today's session, Mr. B. Harishankar, Senior Software Engineer from Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions Private Limited, Coimbatore. He is a proud alumni of our institution, SRM Valliyamai Engineering College, and he has graduated ECE program in the year of 2016. He used to work in the AutoSAR platform-based software developer and IIoT developer with 5 years of vast experience in developing robust IIoT solutions. So I welcome you, sir, Mr. Harishankar. The key skills he has are around embedded C, Python, Linux, and all the other protocols related to communication, including agile methodology, in which he has been acted as a role player. And he is well versed with respect to UART, I2C, and SPI protocols, which forms the basis for any communications. I welcome you, Mr. Harishankar, and I am giving the control over you, and the screen is now yours. Mr. Harishankar?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good morning to all, and thanks for this opportunity for all coordinators. I would like to thank especially the principal, vice principal, and HOD ma'am, and all other staff members to organize such an wonderful event in this wonderful morning. So let me present my screen.
Sir, you can proceed, sir.
Able to see my screen?
Yes, we are able to see Mr. Harishankar.
Yeah. So yeah. So I would like to give some session on IoT use case in automotive. So probably I could understand this session is more of about how we can pursue higher and how we can plan our career path from this program, the outcome of this program. But yeah, I would like to give more session with respect to technical information in the industrial standard of IoT use cases. So currently I'm working. Hello? Hello.
Yeah.
So
Just a minute, Harishankar. Just a minute.
Yeah, sure.
You can continue now.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So as my expertise was from automotive domain, so I would like to mention some of the use case in automotive domain where IoT plays a major role. So yeah, we had a session long back in which I have explained more about the device integration and cloud integration part of IoT components. So why we are going for IoT methodology? Because we are currently in industrial 4.0 revolution, where most of the process relevant, all the manufacturing process needs a data-driven procedure rather than the manual efforts or yeah, it's more of data driven. So for any data, we need to collect such information from any of the devices we are seeing in the industry, right? So the IoT components mostly of device side and cloud side. So if we want to collect any data from devices, we want to follow these procedures like data acquisition, data storage and retrieval, and data push and receive. So these should be performed. These are the routine works which will be done on the device side, whereas in cloud side, we should have a stream, whether this the cloud infrastructure can be we can pursue, or we can get it from any of the service provider, or we can build our own cloud system. But the major services or major infrastructure should associated with the IoT cloud facilities or IoT hub and stream analytics, storage and dashboards. So yeah. So let us consider any automotive manufacturing sector in which in the assembly lines most of the data, most of the products or most of the assignment or the alignment works will happen using machines rather than the manual efforts. So in case any error occurs or any less production or any kind of discrepancy happens in the production line, so that will impact the production outcome and the business. It will in turn affect the business demand, or it will increase the demand in the market. So in order to forecast what kind of issues will happen or what kind of discrepancy might happen, we need valid data which needs to be collected from the assets or the production line or the assembly line. So for that, we need to collect the data through any of this mode, like serial communication of wired sensors from all the sensors or the serial ports or the PLC systems. We will collect through our devices. Our devices is capable of converting the data, and it will make it as a structured format, and it will send to cloud on the other hand. So since I'm going to explain more on automotive field, so these are all the protocols which involved in the automotive data transmission of the controllers. So we have LIN controllers, CAN controllers, FlexRay, and most controllers. So all these controllers have their specific use cases, and they have their own values and properties. If we go for LIN controllers, so these LIN controllers will be single wired, and it will be mostly used in subnet and the body applications of control, body application of the automotive, any automotive. If you consider any car, any luxurious car or a normal C-class cars, the body modules like door control, door lock mechanism, wiper switches, these are all considered as body modules. So for this, there is no more use case, more cost effective mechanism. So for this, we can go for a low priority network connection. That is LIN network. So it's cost around 1.50 for any node. So $1.50 in the sense, the specific module, the communication module will be an independent module which will be available in the market, which can be integrated with our edge devices, controllers on the other hand. So the connection may be established using whatever protocols, the available protocols like SPI or UART or whatever it supports. The most used transceiver, the CAN control, is the CAN controller. So it cost around $3, but actually the cost of CAN controller is huge in previous era, but currently due to large production and most used controller, it was the due to the large production, the cost was reduced, and it was come down to $3. Yeah, and this controller will be used in most chassis and powertrain systems. So if we go for chassis and powertrain system, it means what in a vehicle, the motion of the vehicle is controlled by powertrain system. For example, engine and the gearbox unit and all the sub components associated with the moving of the vehicle will come into powertrain system. Whereas chassis system is nothing but the controlling of the vehicle, the steering system and motion detection and all the braking mechanism will come into chassis network of the any vehicle. And similarly, FlexRay is one another module which have more data rate compared to CAN controller. So the most efficient way of implementing any communication module is CAN rather than FlexRay. But the most expensive cars like Benz, BMW, they go for FlexRay mechanism because they have their own proprietary modules and proprietary method of algorithms they follow. And the last controller may be MOST. This does not have more values with respect to data driven, but the accuracy of the data matters here. So this type of controller is used in multimedia mechanism, like in car we have our dashboard and infotainment systems. So for this kind of systems, we use MOST as one of the controller, and its data rate is very high, and its cost is also very high. And moreover, all these protocols, most of the protocols will be in synchronous manner, but only the CAN and the FlexRay will be in asynchronous manner, which means it does not depend on any clock period. It will go with its own way with the start and end of bit or some indications. So all these units covers the device side of the communication module. Whereas if you go to the cloud side, the cloud should support any IoT feasible protocols. So the most used IoT protocol is MQTT. So this is something like publish and subscribe model. We know the classic TCP/IP model, which is like request and response type of communication, and it is dedicated. We will get the acknowledgement for sure in case if any data is missed somehow. So it will throw the sender that some error has happened, so it will request the data again. So that is a dedicated full duplex mode of communication. On top of TCP/IP, this MQTT is built. This is built by IBM. The proprietary modules are with IBM, and yeah. So here, if we see MQTT, as I told, it is a publish subscribe model. There will be a common broker. Either the broker can be server, which is inbuilt in any organization, or it can be public host like Google Cloud Server or Azure Server. Any several service providers are there, which they have their own cloud servers in which we can create our own subscription for certain cost. So on one hand, there will be the devices which need or which require to send the data continuously. On the other hand, we may have several clients like receiving devices or the monitoring systems. For example, I would like to say one use case here. If we consider a monitoring system, an industrial temperature or whatever the health or the assets health monitoring system, on the one hand, all the assets, all the manufacturing assembly line devices will be connected to edge controllers. From the controllers, we have a module, the communication module, which will continuously send the data. It will continuously send the same data, but with different values as per the recent live values. it will send to the cloud server on the one hand. The broker will receive the data, but it will not store at any cost, and after few seconds it will go expire. But on the other hand, we need to build our own server or the subscriber model, which need to subscribe the data, and we need to monitor the system using some dashboards or some algorithms we need to prepare as per the user specific. So this is one of the use case. In other use case, we could go with the home automation. There it is more about controlling devices, not of monitoring system. Here, on one hand, the devices will send the data to cloud. On the other hand, the mobile, we consider the remote devices home device. So from home device, if user is going to send a message, please switch on this button or switch on this motor. This is the data sent to server. On the other hand, the required actuator module connected to the switch near motor, it will receive, once it receive or subscribe the information from cloud server which sent from the sender, it will do its operation like switch on the motor. And after that, some timer will come into picture. After once timer exceeds, it will switch off again. So this is one of the home automation use case we have. So beyond TCP/IP's secured mechanism, we have our MQTT security level, like the quality of service. We mean, while creating the connection, if we mention QoS level 0, that is user configurable. If we configure the QoS level is 0, it doesn't mean like it doesn't mean that it won't receive any acknowledgement, but it won't wait for any acknowledgement. The sender device, it will simply fire the data and it will forget about the data. That's it. It don't bothers about whether the receiver receives the information or not. Excuse me. Sorry. So if we speak about QoS level 1, it means it will send the data from one end and it will receive the data on the other hand, the receiver side device, and it will acknowledge the sender at least one time. In case the sender does not receive any acknowledgement from the receiver, and it will once again send the data, and it will send the data at least one time acknowledgement is received. If you consider QoS level 2, it will exactly send only once and it will wait for the acknowledgement. So the implementation of QoS level 2 is more of complex and it is more of cost oriented. So most of the industrial standards will go for QoS level 1. Yeah, so this is the model between sender and receiving computer. Here I would like to mention about computer, but if we consider instead of computer, we can replace it with any devices. Maybe one side can be any devices which have all the network modules configured. On the other hand, we consider it as a monitoring system. So we have our PC, the server PC at the one end. So all the application data like sensor information or any serial port information from the devices will be stored in the data buffer, which will be then encoded with the segment headers on the TCP layer. Later, it will be sent to the wired or wireless medium through any physical connections, and it will receive on the receiver side. So here MQTT have several secured features which will be applied in the presentation and session layer. For example, once the connection is established between any server sender and a receiver, there should be a continuous transmission of data. In case any discontinuation in the data or it is on hold, the server can disconnect the sender or the other device in order to make the system secured, and this is called a session handling, in which we are not allowing any the third party devices to connect or we are not giving any space or time to enter any third-party devices to the to access the server. Similarly, in presentation layer, we used to configure all the secured access, all the keys and encryptions, everything to protect our data. So all this comes in the server side implementation. Now we'll go deep into the device side. So here I would like to take a automotive use case here. Like in previous old model without CAN network or CAN or any automotive standard network architecture, the connection between any two any multiple controllers in any vehicle is similarly was seen like left side. Like in case node 1, if we consider node 1 as engine module, if engine module have 5 to 6 sensors integrated with it, and the engine module have some 10 to 12 output value pins, then all this output value pins will be connected to the other node to send and receive data. But later it was framed as a okay. In the left side model, it is a point-to-point kind of connection, and the wires associated or the connections associated with all the networks seems to be bulk bundles of wires. In case any disconnection in the any of the communication channel happens, then it will be very difficult to identify on which wire or it is very difficult to resolve it. The cost will be more on the left side model, whereas in late 1990s they have migrated to CAN type of communication, which is more of a bus type of communication. This is more of like publish the data on the common bus, and whatever the required controllers, the receiving controllers will subscribe the data if it is required. If doesn't, then the data will be just on the bus and it will be expired on somehow. But provided there should not be any unwanted data to be sent in the bus, because it will throw on negative errors, negative impacts on the controllers. The typical vehicle networking seems to be like this. We have several controllers. So maybe in current scenarios, the automotive domain is migrating towards EV and more of luxurious features. For example, in infotainment systems, in vehicle comfort features, and all the features are controlled not by the manual operation, but rather by software controlled modules. So here we have taken a typical vehicle network which have the basic features like engine control, power module, gateway module, ABS controller, airbag controller, like this, a door module. And whatever we are seeing in the above index, like with the different colors or different networks. Similarly, like our lab car or lab environment, which have different PCs connected in different networks, all are connected through a common router. It is similar of same kind of setup. So here the powertrain and chassis network will be the engine and the power module and ABS module is called as a powertrain module, whereas the network which is in yellow color will be more of in chassis or the chassis module. Yeah. So each of this network will operate in different data range. So all these networks will be connected through a common gateway unit. So our use case is with respect to IoT is flashing all these devices on the air. It is called as FOTA, firmware over the air. So we all know what is OTA. So this kind of similar application is already available in our mobile as well. Like if we get our updated OS software notification, then it will check for once the user accepts to install the updated software, then it will check for the battery it will check for the security access and everything, and it will download the data and it will install automatically. So similar kind of use case is applicable in automotive as well. So before to this photo model, literally all the controllers will be flashed on the diagnosis center. The vehicle should be migrated to diagnosis center. It should be connected to any device, external device, but it should be authorized device, and it should have the updated software. It should clear the security, and it should flash the respective controller. And this should happen with a wired connection previously. But currently, after once FOTA comes into picture, all can happen on the air. But provided the vehicle should not be in moving condition, there are some prerequisite conditions in which a vehicle should be in standstill or less than 10 km speed. So most probably the unproductive hours of any vehicle will be considered for flashing or updating the boot software. Yeah. So if we speak about on-the-air update, we should have a gateway module at the. This should act as the device which is able to communicate with all the internal controllers connected in different networks of vehicle. But this gateway module should be connected with a telematics kind of device, which more or less equivalent to IoT device in automotive application. So the purpose of this telematics is on the left hand side, it will continuously communicate with the server, the cloud server, and it will send or receive any data between the cloud server and the telematics device. On the other hand, right hand side, it will have a physical connection on the CAN network or whatever available network to this gateway module. So if we consider if you are flashing any engine control, or if you are flashing any brake controller, the software should be readily available. It should be tested in the test environment. The software should be finalized, and it should be pushed to the common cloud server. So this kind of scheduling job will be done by usually the cloud experts. Once it is scheduled, it will continuously send the telematics device, like it is about to flash. We have updated software. It is about to flash. We can wait for the right time, right moment, like the unproductive hours of any vehicle. So in case that situation arises, it will lock the vehicle. It will not allow the vehicle to move. It will indicate the user or the driver that there is an update available for this particular module. So kindly hold for 5 minutes. Some kind of indication in the dashboard. So once user agrees, he will give an acknowledgement using some button, or simply a voice recognition is enough. Once this acknowledgement is received to the telematics device, it will fetch the data from cloud server. It will store in its local, and it will push the data to a gateway module. Once this gateway module is received with this software, updated software file, it will continuously transmit this data to the BMS. BMS is body management system, we used to say, or body control module, we can say. So this body control module will takes care of the complete body motion of the vehicle, like vehicle dynamic kind of thing, in order to avoid the skidding of the vehicle, and this kind of features will be there. The body control module will have a dedicated address, transmit address, and the gateway module will have a dedicated transmit address. In that address, all the data will be transmitted to this body control module, and in response, body control module will send an acknowledgement to the gateway module. So this is how closed loop communication established between a gateway module and a BMS module on the right hand side. But if you consider on the left hand side, between the telematics and gateway unit, always the data will be stored as a backup in telematics memory. Whenever this gateway module is about to flash the BMS system, it will fetch the data from telematics and it will send continuously on the CAN channel or the communication channel. So here we have a algorithm flowchart for how the firmware will update on the software. So as I told previously, the server will be first loaded with the finalized software, which is about to flash to the production ECU. The server will continuously ping, or it will send a communication to the telematics device that a new software is available or uploaded on the server. Is this the right time to flash the device or not? So telematics device will in turn give a acknowledgement whether it is right time or not. In case it is not a right time, then it will wait for the right time and it will store all the data inside the telematics, its own EEPROM memory or whatever, local SD card, whatever it may be. Once the right time arises, for example, the right time would be less than 10 kilometer. The vehicle should be not doing any maintenance operation. The battery should not be in any maintenance operation. All the ECUs should be in sleep state, I would say. So at this time, only the communication will be established between the target device. So here in our case, we take body control module as the target device. So once the ECU is only the body control module is awake, the server sends the data to the telematics device. Yeah, once it is sent to the telematics device, there won't be any latency or delay between the telematics and the gateway module. So gateway module will continuously check the body control module and it will notify whether it can be flashed or not. So once the body control module accepts to receive the data from the gateway unit or the telematics, it will first check the initial conditions like security clearance, because not all the devices can communicate or all the devices can flash the ECUs. Only the authorized devices can send the data, and only that data can be decoded in the target device. So for this, in most of the device mechanism, they have a security or signature verification. Here, more or less, the presentation layer comes into picture. So once this signature verification is done, so for example, this is something like encrypted key, which will be there in target device as well as the sender device. Whenever both the keys are matched, then only it will be unlocked and it will be start flashing the device. Only if user permits. In case user saying that okay, he was in an urgency, he need to go out, he need to move his vehicle, then he will hold the process. The data will be stored in the telematics device itself. Consider if user permits, then the reboot starts. First, the signature verification process completes. In case signature verification is failed, it will send a notification to telematics device that it is not an authorized device, and it will corrupt the update. Yeah. So once the target device is successfully flashed, not flashed, at least downloaded with the actual updated data, it will store in its data segment of the memory, and it will start its booting procedure later. So once signature is verified, it will uninstall the zipped file or the software file, and it will start flashing the target control module. This will be taken care by the boot software. So there are two types of software: boot software and firmware software. The boot software is nothing but how the booting procedure should happen in any target device. So in case any change in the boot software itself, then there is no other case. Only the user should directly connect physical connection to the target device, and he need to update the boot software. This FOTA can be used only for firmware update, only for application software change. So this is here I would like to explain with an example to our mobile device itself. In case our mobile is getting notification that we are getting some updated software Android version, then this is similar kind of firmware update. So once we accept, it will download the data and it will check the prior conditions like battery is full or not, user agrees or not, and right whether it is accessing right device or not. So once all this security clearance, all this prerequisite conditions are satisfied, the files will be first downloaded and stored in internal memory, maybe in downloads folder. Later it will start the boot software will fetch the firmware software and it will start decrypting and flash on the data segment. That's it. In case our boot software itself corrupted, then we need to go to any service center. We need to update our boot software manually by connecting some devices, some hardware connections. So for in case boot software is going to update, then we cannot rely on the network. We should go to physical connection only. So once booting is completed, it would take most probably 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 minutes to complete any booting process in any kind of controller, in most of the automatic controllers. Once that is done, it will send an acknowledgement back to the device, the telematics device or the gateway module, that booting procedure is done and communication is up. Everything can be done as expected. Now, this will be sent to the server again as a feedback from the edge device. So all these procedures are parallelly taken in some of the dashboards. So all these procedures, all this process is happening internally, which we cannot visualize lively. So there is another big team working behind to showcase all this data as a reports to the end customers or to the actual stakeholders. So this is a similar report, but here we can see some application data rather not the flashing data or something like this. So you consider the same kind of dashboards or the reports will be created in which all this flashing process, the percentage completion, everything will be recorded lively based on the acknowledgement we receive from the target device. Okay. So this is one of the use case. Maybe there are some other use cases like fetching some lively data from the vehicle for monitoring the performance of the vehicle. So currently, during the development phase of automotive, we have some 2 to 3 years of development for any kind of module, and it would take huge efforts and a huge time as well. We'll perform the flashing of the data, and the vehicle will be tested on the track, and the data will be stored locally, and it will be sent to the end stakeholders or the developers to validate the data whether the performance is working correct or not. There is other mechanism as well. Once this IoT or the telematics kind of device is implemented, all this data can be directly sent to the end stakeholders or the developers, so that they can parallelly measure the performance of the vehicle. In case any performance deviation as per the requirement is observed, we can go for improvement in the software, maybe which can be flashed and checked once the development or the improvement is completed. This is more about automotive flashing techniques. Yeah, so that's it I have done. Any clarification? Hello? Hello, Sarvana Kumar sir.
Voice கேக்குதா?
Okay.
Had completed. Any queries from participants? So you are welcome to ask any queries to our resource person. If you have any queries, you can also post in chat box. And Anushya ma'am has replied, no doubts, sir, nice session. So if there are
Okay, ma'am, shall we wind up the session?
yes, sir, that is what.
Okay, Harishankar, Mr. Harishankar, thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, for accepting our invitation, and it was a very nice session. That too, if an industry person is providing a session, we can grasp more ideas than the academic person. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Hari Shankar.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
One join it.
I request the participants. I request the participants to join by 11:15 a.m. for the next session. And before leaving out, I just want to share some few things. So since we need to send each session attendance to AICTE on the day, I request you to be to have your attendance to be maintained for our program. And for all the 3 sessions individually, attendance will be downloaded from Microsoft Teams. Am I audible? My voice is okay? Sarvana Kumar sir?
Yes, ma'am, it is audible.
Yeah, please. So attendance is will be downloaded from Microsoft Teams, and feedback form for each day will be posted at the end of this 3rd session, and it will be open till tomorrow morning 8 o'clock, so that you can post your attendance as well as your questions. Quiz will be there for each day, and 60% of the quiz has to be qualified for our certificate. And this is the instruction I want to give. Then final assessment is there on Saturday. That is different, and on all this each 5 days we have the quiz as well as the feedback. Sir, anything I have to tell? So we can join for the second session by 11:15, and I request all to be there in online. And you can interact with our resource person and colleague and ask your doubts then and there. Sir, Sarvana Kumar sir, வேற ஏதாவது சொல்லணுமா?
Hello, ma'am. So the people can either wait in the link itself, or if you wish, they can rejoin.
Yeah, yes, sir. But please be rejoined by 11:10 itself. We'll start exactly by 11:15. Yes, please. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Harishankar. Harishankar, you can log out of the session. And thank you very much for sharing your experience with us as an industry person in our in this forum. I'm very much pleased to have you here with us. Thank you, Harishankar.
ஹரிசங்கர் மியூட் ஆயிட்டு இருக்காரு மேம், நீங்க முடிஞ்சா அன்மியூட் பண்ணி விடுங்க.
Yeah, இல்லையே நான்
ஓகே
வந்துட்டேன் சார்.
ஓகே.
Okay. Thank you, Harishankar.
Thank you.